Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Having a Human Experience. I'm Fabian, and with me is my guest, Richard Garcia. Today, we're going to experience his life and Olmos Perk. We're at Olmos Perk, both of us for the first time. And the owners have been way more than accommodating. It's been amazing so far, and we've only been here for about 20 minutes. And hopefully, we'll be able to talk to them later on. First of all, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in forever.
It's been forever since we were in that networking organization together a number of years ago. It's great to meet up with you. I like your face and I like your style, man.
I like your style too. Okay, so what was with the cowboy today?
You know, I have a row of hats in my office, 2 walls plus other hats, so probably collectively I have 100 plus. And so I was actually going through thinking, you know, I want to rock a different look tomorrow. I want to be a unique guy. Which way shall I go? And so I tried on a few of them, and I said, you know what? I've never really worn this particular hat out for anything. So I think I'm gonna create a look around this. And I said, you know what? You know, you play cowboys as a kid. I'm gonna play cowboy tomorrow, and so that's what I did.
And good timing too. We actually got a little bit of winter today.
Yeah, quite comfortable, and it feels natural. Even down to my dusty boots.
I live on a street called Dusty Boots. Oh, that's probably giving way too much away. There we go. Now I'm gonna get assassinated. Anyways, yeah, no, you've always had a unique sense of style, and yeah, you've always had different hats, like bowler derbies, caps, all sorts of different things. Always had I always imagine you and your cane and your nice shirt and some sort of unique hat to pull it all off.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't always that way. Actually, what happened early on is, you know, my mom growing up, my mom bought all my clothes. And even into my teenage years, you know, I'd give her some money, she'd go out, she'd buy it. And then going to college, and, you know, college, I'm a poor guy. I'm broke. Not poor. Poor is a state of mind. Broke is broke. So broke, and so I wore whatever I had, and then you know, graduating now, I'm now coming to some money, and by that time, you know, I have a fiance who I did marry, with long time married now, and then she started outfitting me, and then one day, years into the future, she just said, you know, I was like, hey, I need a new shirt. You know, why do I have to buy for you? And I was like, hey, I thought this was how it worked, you know, there'd just be new clothes in my closet. So she's like, you know, I buy for the kids and now I gotta buy for my husband. And so I was like, well, I didn't know it was a thing, it was a problem. So I had to make a decision, and I was like, how am I gonna do this? I mean, I know about stripes and plaids and things like that, but I didn't know much more than that. So I went, I just took it a pragmatic view, and I said, I need to go down to a bookstore and buy a book on fashion. And so I went down to Half Price Books.
All right.
And they have a fashion area there, and they had a couple of shelves for fashion, men's fashion, and I found the book Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And I read that book, that section on fashion, probably at least a dozen times.
Nice.
So I was like trying to come up with, okay, I see the style, and then I began to notice how other people really dressed. And I said, you know what? They have a vibe. That person doesn't have a vibe. Do I have a vibe? I don't really have a vibe. I need a vibe. I don't care what it is, but there has to be a vibe to it. And so then I started, you know, I really used that as a resource. And then all of a sudden I was able to fly, and I can either take it from the boots up, or I can take it from the hat down. I can come up with my own thing. Naturally, so it doesn't look like, hey, I'm in the JCPenney catalog buying the guy that, you know, that's posed like that, you know. It's and then from there, you know, I rediscovered my love of hats. I grew into hats, and then due to an injury, I started picking up canes, and so I've got probably about a dozen canes, you know. So pimp style, and just rustic, and all in between. So yeah, and I think that there was a movie that I'd seen years ago that say, clothes make the man, and I think it's true. You know, it's how you present yourself to the world, and so you don't have to dress to the nines, but you have to dress with a sense of style, your own personal style.
I wish I had one of those.
I'll lend you the book.
Yeah, hand me that book. I went on a beanie kick for a little bit because I don't really do hats because my head's so damn big. But that's cool.
You know,
That's really cool researching all that because. I mean, I don't know how many guys are going to listen to this and secretly admit to themselves, like, yeah, my girl buys me stuff too, or yeah, I kind of just wear whatever she tells me to.
yeah. If you're worried about like how to rock a hat, the way I learned it is I went down to Paris Hatters downtown on Broadway. Great shop, and I went in there, and it's weird how they know what fits you. And so I went in there, and they have one side that's all cowboy hats, Stetsons, and things like that. Beautiful selection. And then the other side is non-cowboy hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I need a hat. Well, what kind of hat do you want? I said, I have no clue. And so they said, they had this one guy, he's like some sort of savant or something. And he's taking me, and he's just like leading me into the different hats. And he's like, no. And I had a chance to watch how he did that, and so he brought me brought me to one hat, and when he put it on me, and then I looked in the mirror, I was like, yes, that hat more than any other worked for me. And then from there, that gave me the way. So maybe visit Paris Hatters so that they can be able to find you a hat.
Maybe.
And then you're on your way.
Find an actual hat for myself. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I have not a friend, he's an acquaintance. A guy by the name of Ernie I see on Facebook all the time. He's always, dressed in nice suits. He's always Texas formal with the nice, he always has this perfect hat for every freaking suit he has. Always showing off when he gets a new one. And I think his latest one was a Stetson.
And when you look at me as a vibe, right?
There is a vibe, and it's important to have a vibe, especially when you're a CPA, because there's like thousands of them, and you need to stand out.
Yeah, and how do you do that? Not many people wear hats these days. I like hats because I'm follically challenged, but so it also protects against skin cancer. So it has a double duty there. It keeps me warm in this time of the year where it's really cold. So, but yeah, develop your own sense of style. It really makes you feel good. You feel like you're almost in your second skin, so to speak.
Yeah, my generation's way too comfortable in graphic tees and jeans. Kind of, guilty of it right now.
That's all right.
I was gonna, put on a nice shirt and everything, and then the weather decided, nope. Wear your favorite jacket today. Wear some warm clothes this morning.
Well, truth be told, I was going to rock it another way, but there was a fella, I made a comment to I told him, you dress sharp today. And it was too close to giving him that compliment, so I was worried that he would think that I was trying to copy him. I was like, I don't want to copy anyone else's style. My style is my style. I can't go that way. He would know, and he'd just give me that smile next time I see him. Yeah, I know what you did. So.
Nope. You gotta be unique.
Exactly.
Gotta be unique. You're a pretty unique guy. That's why I wanted to bring you on this.
Well, it's entertaining. It's always a little scary, when you're on media and you wonder, oh my God, so many people can see. And thanks to being a part of the networking organization for a number of years, it got me over that stage fright where you feel so shy and tongue-tied. Now it's just the hard part is to shut the person up.
Yeah, I guess to anyone who's been like into that networking world, this is basically just recording a one-to-one.
Yeah. But it comes with time.
I'm trying to get to a model to where it's less business talk. Like, yes, we're going to talk about you being a CPA, and that's what we're going to get to next. But it's going to be less about your business structure and like why do you like being a CPA? Because that can't possibly be one of like oh shit, we're about to get some Gen Z in here, they're gonna fuck everything up. But like, right. Why do you like being a CPA? Because I can't imagine a more boring job other than being a painter and watching paint dry.
It's funny you mentioned painter because my grandfather was a painter, not not on a canvas, but his canvas was houses and buildings and things like that.
Ah, okay.
So I was introduced to self-employed people very early on. He was one of the few that I can think of as my childhood memories.
Nice.
And so I have memories of his way of getting ready in the morning, absurdly early in the morning. He'd be up by like 4, and I thought that was just so weird. I mean, 4 in the morning, man. 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, the crows. I mean, the roosters have
Different generation back then.
Yeah, but I noticed that there were some things that he did. You know, he had his process. He'd get up. He'd go to the bathroom, take a shower, get dressed, and he was on the job site probably about before 8 o'clock in the morning. And so I thought, what a wonderful thing to be your own boss. You know? That's great. But the thing is back then when I was a boy, it's they kind of tell you find a good job where you can be in for the rest of your career. But there's no such thing as being job safe for the rest of your career. Do you need to take a break or something? No. Be safe for the rest of your career. So, and I will answer the question on the CPA thing. So give me a moment to get around.
No. Tell your story, dude.
Yeah. So
this is what it's about. Your story. How did you get here?
Yeah. So.
The more long-winded, the better.
Yeah. So the thing is get a good job, work somewhere. You get the pension from the place you retire, and then you're planting flowers, or you're underneath flowers.
Yeah.
But that's not how, due to the change of times, it's not how it is anymore. Where you can be assured of a job. So I had a chance to go to college, and then from there, why accounting? Well, honestly, how I got there is, imagine high school. I think I'm either a junior or a senior, and you have to take these electives. And so you cycle through. I took typing. Did I know that I was going to go to college? Honestly, no. I mean, my high school, they did a study of 2 schools, the rich and the poor, my year, and in that study that was published in the paper, our school, they only had about a third of the kids that even attended college, whereas the other school was somewhere around 90%, somewhere in there. Yeah, so college was not something that was really suggested there. It was for me. They recommended that I go into the trades. There's nothing wrong with the trades. You can do really well in the trades. But the problem is there's a short circuit between my brain and my hands. I'm not a real handsy kind of guy where I can fix that pipe or repair that car. Yeah, I'm not the man you want to pick for that. Anyway. So this class I took that we were cycling through, it was bookkeeping. And so I'm doing my thing, and I finished a little early, and you could go pick a magazine to just occupy yourself, just be silent. And I turned to this, thumbing through, turned out to be an accounting magazine, which, wow, hey, that's cool, right,
that's
man?
exciting.
Yeah. So
there's an audience for that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking through and I see this picture. And this picture, the way I saw it as a young man, the way I see it today, I see it from 2 different points of view. This picture I'm looking at, there's this guy. It's kind of a faraway shot on some beach somewhere. It's a cabana. The guy got his sandal feet up on the rail of the cabana. And he's got one of those tropical drinks with the umbrella on it. And all I thought to myself is, I want to be that guy. I want to be that. And it's talking about Joe Blow, accountant, enjoying the warm breeze. Now, perspective brings you this. Advance decades later, and that picture means something else to me. Why is that guy alone under a cabana? There's no phone anywhere there. The reason why is he's got bloodshot eyes. He's just passed his taxes, and he just wants to be able to relax, recover, and hopefully not make it to the hospital. So 2 different perspectives depending on your age. But that's the reason I went in that direction. Was that picture? That picture got me through college and on to my first job. And then from there,
you wanted to You wanted to. You thought accounting was about making money and retiring on beaches.
Yeah, feet propped up, and
So you got lied to.
But it's not that at all.
Okay, but that was college a long time ago. Why do you still do it? What's up, Charlie? How's it going?
It's funny. I worked in many types of businesses, million to multi-billion global reaching operations, and I was able to enhance my skill set. I was always looking to do something that I hadn't done before. I knew that I was destined for something else, but I needed to acquire as much as I could and really not learn on somebody else's dime. That's the way. And then one day, I started having this nagging feeling in the back of my mind. Well, actually, that's not completely true. What actually happened that took me on this path is I just graduated from college, and now I'm starting to squirrel away money to buy my first home, starter home. And so the man that found my first starter home for my wife, he was a real estate broker. And so he calls me after he sold me the house, and he's like, "Hey, do you do tax returns?" Now, I had been under the unreasonable belief that somebody might ask me a tax question because I'm an accountant, and I should know it. But that's not really true because there's accountants in industry and there's accountants in public accounting. But I was afraid, and they'd say, "You don't know? You don't know? You're an accountant. You're supposed to know these things." So I would just read these IRS publications just in case somebody asked me a tax question, that I'd be able to answer it. And while I was in college, I did a couple of tax seasons for VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, because I wanted to get a couple of years in there so that it would make me more marketable when I graduated. And I also worked in the business office there at my college because I thought, again, it would give me a leg up. Did it? No, it didn't at all. I should have just walked in the cabaret just watching TV and keeping it clean. But that's okay. That's another matter. So with the VITA season underneath me, the guy asked me, and so back then, computer programs for taxes, that wasn't really a thing. I did them manually, and so I did it 1 year. And then what I did is I saved that money that I made, and I didn't even know how much to charge. The poor guy, I quoted him, and he gave me more money. He says, "You can't work for that, son." I was like, "Thank you." I knew I had done a lot of work, but I didn't know at that time how to bill.
Yeah.
And that had to come later. But I said, "No, son, I got to pay you more. This is worth a lot more." And so one return, 1 year led to 2, led to 4, led to 8, and I was running a business. Parallel, we're talking about, using one of those old Sullivan brand desks with the hutch on top, and I would just buy, reinvest into a better computer, into programs, eventually when that became a thing, into printers and stuff like that, always reinvesting. And my wife at the time was like, we're never really seeing any of this money. I said, we're reinvesting this because I believe we will. I've just got to get it rolling. And so it eventually grew to a point where I was making a significant amount of money. And all this time I'm moving up in corporate America. Now, when are you ready to leave? I mean, there were some other circumstances here, but essentially what happens is you reach a point where the frustration of working one more day in the job you have is greater than your fear of failure working for yourself. And so that's when I knew it's time to go.
Yeah.
And so I had a mortgage, I had children, there's no safety net. You're taking a leap of faith,
Yeah, I know.
And
doing that right now.
Yeah. But the thing is it's both frightening and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
And so you have to come up with a plan, and that plan change. There's a lot of things to consider when you do go into business, and I had to learn a lot of those things, even though I'd had a business growing, but when you're doing it full time, there's a lot more things to consider to give yourself a chance of success.
Yeah.
And so why do you continue to do it? It's like getting paid to work puzzles, in a way.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, I need help with my taxes. Okay. And so you take all of these pieces of paper, but you've done it so much that in your head, I mean, I've done it over 30 tax seasons. So as far as taxes is concerned, you're taking these and you're putting the puzzles in your mind where they need to go. Okay, I know I'm going to need this form and this form and this form and this form. So I'm getting paid to work the puzzle. And then with respect to bookkeeping, since I worked in multi-managed, multi-billion-dollar operations, then it's like I know what it should look like. I know what's going to look goofy, what's going to draw the attention of the tax agencies. And so we've got to look at that line and make sure if that's authentic, great. But if that number draws my interest, it's probably going to draw the interest of the IRS. So we need to be either sure that that's correct, or there's probably stuff that's misposted that we need to move. So it's bookkeeping. Payroll, that's organic. I tell people, I kind of treat payroll as like the redheaded stepchild because I never went after it at all, and no love, no love for the payroll. And but then one day I was looking at my income statement and I was like, look at how significant payroll is, and I don't advertise that at all. I mean, if somebody calls me and it drops in my lap, but I was like, I need to do more to promote that because it's so close to these other lines of business that I have. And so, why accounting? I had a chance to, in corporate America, to save somebody $1 million. But then the next day, what else have you done? But if you get a chance to help a small business grow and save them a couple $100, they love you forever. And that satisfaction, it keeps me going. I love being able to help people to be able to reach their goals. Do all of them work out? No, because it could be that they didn't research what they're going into very well. But I try to give them the best chance that they can, so that they can hopefully make a go of it. So. Sorry, I lost my focus. Somebody was walking by and it was like,
it's okay.
But so I like doing that. I like working with mom and pops. They're much more appreciative. Plus, here's the thing: what's the best feeling in the world when you were working for an organization, or rather, when you were looking for a job? It was when they called you to say you got the job. Out of all the dozens or maybe hundreds of people, they picked you. I get experience that every day.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from someone saying, "Hey, I found you on the web, and I'd like to do business with you." That's like getting hired every day by someone else, and so it's the best feeling in the world, man. Why would I want to leave that?
Or really cool. It's a really good way to look at it, because I definitely would not see any of that in there.
Well, once you acquire your core skill of doing it, then it becomes second nature, and so you don't look at it as like, oh man, this is going to be really complex. It's like I was in Florida once when I was working in corporate America, and I was in Ybor City, and on just about every corner, you got these people that are rolling cigars. They got a cigar in their mouth and they're smoking it, but they're doing the filler, they're wrapping it with a special leaf, and they're rolling it, and they're cutting it down, and they're setting it aside. And practiced hands, man, they're just doing it over and over and over again. It just looks like the most interesting thing in the world because it's just something they know so well. It's the same thing here. It's just something I know so well, and it's given me an opportunity to help clients. It's allowed me to be able to hire people, and so for my
you've been like really proud of your office and staff and everything lately. Like, has there been like a milestone recently achieved or anything?
Well, yes, and there's still other milestones I'd like to reach. I mean, we've been.
I think like you've been showing off your office. You've been talking about, I made promises back then. When I got to a certain point, I would do this for my employees, and you were making good on those promises, like.
They're rolling in some benefits to my clients. The other thing is having worked in a number of different organizations. I've had good bosses and I've had terrible bosses. And so what I have done is I've taken the best of what I've seen and I've tried to establish best practices there. So things like simple stuff. Hey, little guy, a little friend there. So things like if you've ever worked in corporate America and if you decided to eat at your desk during lunch, well, you're eating lunch. You're not thinking work because that's your private time. But what happens, and it doesn't matter which organization, it's happened at a number of them for when I was working for them. Oh, hey, I see that you're eating, but can you answer a quick question for me? And so what that does is it teaches you need to leave the office so you can get your full hour without being interrupted, because they still expect you back in an hour.
Yeah.
And so you can't have that quality time to enjoy your meal. You've been interrupted. And now it's like an acid feeling in your stomach, because why can't I just have that 1 hour? You're not paying me for the hour, but then you just use some of my time.
Yeah.
So some of the things are, if you get there early, in corporate America, you'll find if you're there early and somebody needs you, hey, can I ask you a quick question? What you want to say is, no, don't you want to be a team player? Yeah, at 8 o'clock. Well, oh, okay, I see. You're just an 8 to 5 person. But that's not true. It's just common courtesy, you know. When I'm in and I'm on the clock, I'll be glad to do whatever you want. Or if you anticipate needing me longer, then let's talk about the before. But let's not do that without having an agreement. So one of the things is if you get there early to my office, my staff, that's your time. I'm not going to talk to you. I say good morning, you know, as a greeting. But I'm not going to talk to you before until 8 o'clock. When it's your lunch hour, I will not interrupt you during your lunch hour, because I hated that. And so, you know, we're not going to do that. So it's things like that. One of my old jobs, it's no longer around at the company. They used to have company picnics, and so on certain holidays we'll do a potluck, and I'll supply the main thing, and then they'll bring their things on the side. So, you know, Thanksgiving we did some fairly thick steaks. You might have seen it on Facebook back when I posted. Yeah. So I let them come up whatever you want.
Yeah, one of the things I was referring to. Yeah.
Yeah. So does it cost a few bucks? It costs a few bucks, but it gives such a.
It's better than a pizza party.
It's better than a pizza party, and it lets them know that you really do care about them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a great investment to be able to show my staff what I think about them. You know, you said what are some of the milestones? Well, my youngest just graduated with her bachelor's in accounting.
Hey.
Yeah. And so she asked me could she come in and work for me for the firm, and I was like. I really think it's better to work somewhere else first, so you can get a perspective on things.
Yeah, I'll get it.
You know, if I say something, you might be interpreting it as dad.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, working for family is hard.
So I kept trying to push her that way. But
Yeah, working for family is hard. My uncle gave me my first job at 15. He had to make it very clear several times that he is not my uncle at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's family is family, business is business.
Yeah.
And but she still felt very passionate about that. So fine. So she's come on. She's working on her master's, and then she'll be sitting for her CPA. And now there's a real chance that this business I started by accident can go into a second generation, which is for me just super cool. You know what I mean? To be able to have something that lasts beyond my lifetime. That's who could have imagined?
Something you started on him or kind of by accident.
And you mentioned about some of the milestones. I mean, I'd rented for a number of years, and then in 2010, the economy was really on the edge where we didn't know, and so I better hold back. I better be cautious. The way I figured it at that time is, I'm an accountant and I'm conservative, but I'm also a business person, and you gotta have a little gambling. And so what I decided, look, if the economy goes in the toilet, it's only a matter of time before I wipe out. If it goes really down like the Depression years.
Yeah.
So I figured, look, this is the time to take the chance, and so. The old place that I was at, interesting story, is I asked if, hey, are y'all looking to sell this little building here? Because I'd like to buy it. And they were like, no. But the thing that got me looking differently about it is the toilet tank downstairs, the little chain had broke, and I'm asking them to fix it. And so it was like February, and I'd reach my hand in there for about a dozen times to pull the plunger, you know, with the clammy water, and something inside me just snapped, and I said, I'm done. It's 2010, the early part. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You know, this is not right. So I bought a Facebook building. How did I do it? I went online and I went into, I'm sorry, not Facebook, Craigslist building. I went into Craigslist and I was looking for real estate, you know, for rent. And I had a criteria in my mind. It's got to have a marquee. It's got to be a single story, because I had a number of clients at that time that were threatening to leave if I didn't get on the first floor because they were having trouble walking up the stairs. So, yeah.
All right.
So, and it had to be a busy street because I was tired to be tucked away. I mean, I was off of Blanco near West Avenue, which is
That's generally busy.
It is a generally busy street, but the thing is, I'm in a building and my name on the marquee is just really small. So unless you're really paying attention, you know, you're going to miss it as you drive by. So I looked and I saw a place on San Pedro. I was like, well, San Pedro's a top 10 busy street in the city.
It's like top 2.
Yeah. So then I drive over there, but actually before I was like debating with myself. I was like, do I, you know, I'll have to use my lunch, you know, and you know, I want my lunch, you know. I'm a guy like food. You know? So, man, look, quit thinking like with that mentality. You're a business owner, you know, so you'll have to pick up something and eat it on the way, and just do this. I went over there. It did not show well. There was holes on the side where air conditioning unit should be. So the elements have just been coming in. There's leads and stuff. And I looked in and stuff, and the sign had said for lease or sale. And so I called the number and I asked the person. I said, "How much for the lease?" And they gave me a price, and it was for that space. It didn't justify the price. I said, "Well, how much for sale?" And she said, "This." Now, I'm an accountant, so you know we are a frugal sort.
Yeah.
And so she gave me a figure, and I called a friend of mine that's a real estate professional.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, this is. I told the lady I called back. I called my friend and I said, you know, price isn't bad. It's not exactly what I wanted to pay. What do you think? And he says, offer way lower. And so I was like, but won't I insult you? He says, no, you can always come back again. And so I did. But before I did that, I called my wife. She's like, jump on it, just do it. And I was like, I'm not paying full price for anything. I'm not going to go to a car lot and pay full price if I can negotiate a deal.
I'm pretty sure, like I'm trying to think of some famous accountant. I'm pretty sure the Monopoly Man himself would like appear out of the shadows and like kill you if you paid full price for anything as an accountant.
And so anyway, she's like, jump on it. And I was like, it just didn't feel right to me. I'm just not paying full price. I just couldn't look myself in the mirror knowing that there's a possibility of getting a better deal. So I called the lady back and I did what the real estate professional had said, and then she immediately countered for exactly what I wanted to pay for. So I probably could have gone even lower with her and bargained, but I figured, you know what, if I do that, it's probably going to be acrimonious, you know, for that entire closing period, because she's not going to feel like she got what she needed. It's what I was prepared to pay. It was still a substantial amount of savings, and I was like, okay, we'll do that. Now, normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get qualified first and then place an offer. Well, I didn't know that because I've never bought a building. But so then I had to jump on and I found a lender, and we closed on it slightly over 30 days. And we just celebrated our 11th year being physically in there. And my next goal with that place is, I'm a history buff. If I hadn't been an accountant, I would have been probably a history teacher and a tennis coach, because I did play in high school tennis and played in college.
Cool.
Yeah, but so first thing I did within the first year is I went to the main library down there and did research on what was the building when it was first formed, who were the tenants in it.
Why are the lights flickering?
Well,
why is the door opening by itself?
Don't even get me started about the permits. I mean, that nearly choked me out. But as far as the, hey little guy, but as far as the history of it, it was built in according to the tax records, it was built in 1945, the first tenant, 1951. The longest tenant is that first tenant, was 17 years. And so I've been there now 11, so my goal is to be best. Now, when we were going into the building, getting it ready, we had people stop by, and I thought to, wish us well, but more than one told me, we always thought this place was hell because no business ever made it. And I'm like, the first time it caught me off guard. The second time they told me that, I said, well, they're just keeping it warm for me. And I knew going in there, because it had just been, from the tax records, it tells me, just a revolving door of one and dones. I knew that people would figure that I was just another one and done. Like so I did not expect the neighborhood to support me for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Luckily, I already had a book of business that I could do fine at that location without any support. But after about the first season into the second season, it started to pick up.
Something that it's definitely something that not a lot of people think about.
Yeah.
That's definitely not
the stigma of failed businesses at a location. But now it's been so long that it's definitely one of the top 3 draws for me in terms of new business is
the location.
Yeah, and what's even funnier about that is this. I was hoping there'd be like an attorney next door, or an engineer, or insurance, something that would be kind of complimentary to me. And at first I was like, but it's a convenience store. How is that complimentary to me? I mean, it's complimentary in terms of snacks. But it really is a genius thing, because how long do you spend there when you're gassing up? A few minutes? Looking around, looking at marquees. And so I've got a fair number of new clients because they were gassing up, saying, hey, I saw your marquee, I'd like to come talk to you about my business. So it wound up being just great for me. But yeah, I'm on my way. I'm number 2 in terms of tenure there, and I've got my goal on being number 1. It's been really great. The neighborhood's been supporting me. Every year I'm getting more from the area. And the big thing for them is, well, my professional is way over on the other side of town. You're right here, so it's opportunity for me. Great. Yeah. And we're centrally located because you've got I-10 near me, where you can exit to get to me. You've got 35 that's near me. You've got 281. So I'm near 3 freeways. Plus I'm on a major street, being San Pedro. So it's pretty centrally located, which has been just wonderful. So, so there's been, you're right. There's been a lot of firsts, and the other thing is I've learned that people.
So a business you accidentally started, and a building that you took a leap of faith on during a shaky time. All right.
Like I said, you have to have a little gamble in you. No risk, no glory. That's just the truth. If you can be safe all the way into ruin. You never took any chances. Well, and you expect that that's going to be a full-time thing for you, but you never took any risks. So why would you expect it to be a big reward? It doesn't work that way.
Are you much for gambling in general?
On my honeymoon with my wife, she wanted to go over there, and she thought that we'd be the exception to the rule. So, I'm not really much of a gambler. I just she likes doing that kind of stuff. I'm not really a big fan because I know what it takes to make money, and the thought of, here, let me put it in, let these things spin, and maybe you'll get your money back plus something else. They've got to stay in business. How do you think the odds are there?
Right.
So no, I'm not much of a gambler in terms of the classic, card playing, in Vegas type thing. But I do have to be a gambler in business to be willing to take risks to grow.
Oh yeah.
Different type of gambling. But I am a decent card player, but that's another story.
It'll be a story for secrets that are not given out.
Oh no, I mean I'd be glad to tell it, but I don't. That's another long story. So I don't know if that's what you want to talk about today or not.
Sure.
Okay, so one of my passions is playing cards, Texas Hold'em. Now, in my family, we don't really play for money. We play for bragging rights, and everybody says they don't remember, but they totally remember who won the last game, which would go hours. So yeah, you keep score, even though you say you don't keep score.
What was the longest game?
Oh man, it's got to be 4 or 5 hours.
Have you won the most?
Have I won the most? No. They're all pretty good card players. You know, you'll get on a run. You might run, 2 times and get together, something like that. But you're not going to be dominating like Jordan. Where you're repeating twice and things like that. They're good players.
All right.
But my story is this: I had a client at the time, and I mentioned to him that he'd asked me, do I play cards or anything like that? I said, yeah. So he had a ranch, and he invited me to go. And I said, well, I've got some clients I've got to see, but I'll head over there when I'm done. So the funny part to the story is getting out there. You know when they say you can't see your hand from your face? That's a real thing. And I just thought it was an expression, but I was out in the country, had to do a pretty good drive. And so I'm driving up this dirt road, and there's like 3 different ranches that you have to choose one, but they didn't tell me after I got to this road which one was there. Throw me a bone, fellas. So I decided, well, I need to go up to the gates of these to see. So I get out of my car and I'm looking, and I turned off my car because being an accountant, I didn't want to keep wasting gas. That also means I turned off the lights. Now, 2 things ran through my mind. One is I can't see a thing. I can't see a thing. And I'm like, well, I'll just see, orient my eyes by putting my hand closer and closer and closer. And so I swatted my face because you can't, when it's that pitch black dark, you just can't see your hand.
Jesus.
Yeah,
You were like about to be.
The next thing, yeah, I know, banjo start playing. So the next thing that happened is I started remembering, hey, javelinas can kill you. And I don't know where my car is right now because it's pitch black. I mean, if I can't see my hand. So luckily I just kind of, Frankenstein back to my car until I could touch something. And I got in. So they were already deep in the game in the garage. They were doing dice. The dice, thousands of dollars going back and forth between these people. I mean, they were gambling. Yeah, without the G, gambling. And so there was already a card game going, and I bought in. Now, I'm not a big gambler, so I was like, I'm not going to see this money. I brought 100, but I knew it was like, I'm not going to see this money. So it bothered me, but it was like, it's the cost of doing business, relations. Well, I wound up playing, and it's now about 3:30 in the morning. And so it's me and this other guy, and we're both playing tight. He'll throw in when it's a big hand, and I'll throw in when it's a big hand. I tried to feint and stuff, and he did too, but our games were too close, and he hardly had a chance to by the time I got there to build up a big pile, so he thought he was going to finish. I said, look, man, I'm exhausted. You're not gambling unless you have a great hand. I'm not gambling unless I have a great hand. You know what? Let's just we'll keep what we keep. And so I made a little bit of money on that. He made a great deal of money on that. And so he finished first. I finished second. So
congrats.
So then the guy who invited me asked me if I would play in a card game for the company. I was like, look, man, I just play for bragging rights. I don't really play. Like, I know you're a good card player, so I was like, okay. Fine, I'll do it. So there was a tournament at the time. I don't know if they still hold it around Christmas time. And it was 100. I think it's like 125 players. And so that first tournament, I played into the top 10. I finished 7th. And so I was offered a shotgun or money.
What?
Yeah, because when you finish in the range, and so I was like, you know what, money comes and goes. I'll spend that somewhere. But
so at a poker tournament in Texas, at Retama Park every Christmas. There's where the prize is money or a shotgun.
Yeah, the money equivalent or a shotgun. And what's the story that you won money? Everybody can win money, in a household and stuff. But I wanted the shotgun because that's a story. I won a shotgun in a card game, and I don't have to say I didn't finish first. I'll just say I
won poker. Yeah.
So I did that. I finished 7th in that tournament, and they invited me back, and I finished. The next year I finished 13th, and it's field of that size. And then the third year I finished 31st. And you always have these sad poker stories. I had 2 aces, and I was willing to bet, and somebody caught out my card on the river. It's just the nature of things.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so I finished 31st.
Gambling for a reason.
But so I'm a decent card player. I just don't play a lot, and I don't like people to know that I can play cards because I prefer to keep that as an advantage.
So now I gotta cut 10 minutes out of my segment.
No, you can tell. I just don't. I don't brag that.
Advertise it.
Yeah. So why should I give you a chance to not be foolish with your hand?
And I like it, but I lose my attention. My attention span goes out the window after about an hour.
Well, then you know what you know. Then you know you've got to stop at a certain point. I'm out, fellas. And this way...
because if I stay, I start making stupid bets, and I just stop thinking. And
But see, the thing is, it's like a muscle. So I mentioned before with the family, these games will last for hours. So we got conditioned for long events.
Yeah.
And if you don't play, then you're not conditioned that way. And so over time, they just wear you down.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Speaking of conditioning, one of the other hobbies that I know of is you and your biking. How's that going?
Yeah, biking.
I mean, I know after your injury, you had to stop for a while, but you picked it up again a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because your injury was what, 4 years ago now?
Yeah, I think it's probably about 4 years ago. The genesis of the biking thing was this. So we're talking, it's got to be close to 15 years now. I was sitting in my doctor's office and he was telling me how, look, if you don't make some changes in your life, things are not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
Because I still continue to have some health issues, but at the time it was serious in nature. So he was like, I need to put you on all this medication. I was like, look, doc, once you get on medication, I knew that it's probably going to be something that's going to be required for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I said, look, doc, I know you hear this all the time. Give me a year. Look, son, you really need illness. Look, if I'm going to be on it, you're going to have me on it for the rest of my life. Give me a year. And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I got to do something. But if it's work, I already have work. That's just more work, and I don't want to do it. I got to do something that for me would be fun. Okay, so what did I like doing, as a kid that was fun, that would be
active?
And I was like, well, football, no, I was never a great football player, and I'm more fragile now, so so no, football, baseball, joining one of these softball leagues, no, I don't, that's just not going to give me the exercise that I really need. And so I'm cycling through it, and then cycling, I remember that we had one bicycle in the family. There was a girl's bicycle. We had the little plastic basket there with the flowers, the fake flowers, the sunflowers that is on the outside, and that was the bicycle to use. And so I'd be pedaling. I mean, that was my transportation to the neighborhood subdivision as a whole. And I was like, I used to like that. I never got tired. My legs never got tired. My chest, my lungs never got tired. And you know what? My wife bought me a bike, and I thought, back then with the bike, one size fits all. You just get on and you ride. But that's not true at all.
No, God, no.
I didn't know that. So my wife bought me a bike that was not my size, and so my knees were always hurting. And then where I live, there's a lot of hills. So so I've got a bike that's too small for me, so my knees are hurting. And I hadn't learned about switching gears, and so I was like, thanks, my wife, thanks. Then I went back to Craigslist. Love Craigslist, man. I was addicted to Craigslist. And I bought from this guy. I was only intending to buy one bike, but he had two. There was there was a mountain bike, and then there was a road bike. And I said, perfect. I could do dirt trails, and I could do. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's right. Let's just go with that in the story. Mountain bike and a road bike. And so over time, and they were in my size. And slowly over time, I was riding in the neighborhood. I was getting a little better winded. And so I thought, you know what I want to do is I want to do something that's so far removed, crazy, like that it would be like landing on the moon. And I was like, you know what I want to do? I'm going to pick something to do. I'm going to ride the Mission Trail. The Mission Trail
is long.
It's long. It's about 18 miles there and back.
Yes, it is.
So I went down to I drove down to San Jose, Mission San Jose, and they have a map.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to tell anyone in case I failed to have to call my wife, I didn't tell anybody. Yeah. So I got pride. So I got my one water bottle that I filled. And it was a day that it was drizzling, so that's not a good bicycle day. But I was like, "Look, man, this is the day."
Gonna do it.
So I didn't even know really where I was going. One of the people in the parking lot said, "Look, I wanna do the trail. How, where do I go?" He says, "Oh, just go up here and then take a right, and then just follow the road." It's kind of correct, but at the time, because of the construction that still needed to occur, it wasn't totally correct. And I did it. Did it take me a long time? Yeah, but I did the 18 miles. And that next week, I told clients, hey, I did this trip. Because 18 miles, when you hear it, it sounds like a million. I mean, it's like, you rode 18 miles? You rode 18 miles? Really? And so I was bragging, and one of my friends, who's also a client, said, I want to ride it with you. But I did it once, man. I wasn't sure I could do it again. So I was like, no, I'm good. You do
I
it.
thought you were about to say, then I told that to a real bike rider, and they're like, oh, that's cool.
No, he'd been riding in his neighborhood, and so he wanted to try that. And so I was like, I didn't want to do it because what if I couldn't make it this time? Because the first time you're on adrenaline and you're like, I gotta do it, man. Man up, But the second time there's no man up because all that bravado is gone, And so we did it then.
It's a different conversation. It's like, I've done this before. I can do it again. I got it.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I've done it once.
Yeah.
Already done this.
Well,
Let's do it.
but I wasn't sure I could do it again because the first time you're doing it because I have to. But the second time it's like I don't really have to. I could avoid doing that because I'm victorious already. But what if I fail? Then I'm 1-1. And so I did it with him, and he's like, let's do it next week. And I was like, I just wanted to do it the one time, man. And so we did it another time, and then we did it another time, and another time. And then what happened is that we started talking to people that were riding by themselves, and over time, we co-founded a bicycle club called the Street Rats of San Antonio Bicycle Club.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Now, when COVID started, because I have health issues, I stopped riding with people because I don't know. Yeah, if they're positive for the COVID and they ride, and then I get it, with my existing health issues, And so I haven't been riding with them, but I've been riding by myself. And so, in my neighborhood, or there's actually a trail near my house, and so I'll just jump on. And I think you may have read on my Facebook how I'd ridden from I guess that's Walker Ranch out to Camp Bullis and back. I didn't intend to go all the way to Camp Bullis. I get to a certain point, I was like, I'm good with this. Oh, but you know what? It only says 3 more miles to this. And so next thing I knew, I'd gone all the way out to Camp Bullis, and then you got to go back. And I didn't want to have to call my wife and admit, hey, I'm not going to do that. So I just gingerly rode back because I wasn't really in condition, but I did it. So yeah, bicycling is an important part of my life. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm a pictures guy. So I like people to see what I find interesting in terms of outdoor art and unusual things. So yeah, bicycling is one of the other things that I like to do.
Yeah. I'm glad you got to keep it up even through COVID. I didn't know you had a bike gang.
Yeah, it's been around a while. It's probably one of the largest in town. And we've been around for this point over a dozen years.
That's cool.
You can find it on Facebook under Street Rats of San Antonio.
Totally linking that to the podcast, by the way. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Talking about the COVID is how do you cope? I've had to close myself off, so I've actually closed my office for in-office visits, which means I've had to utilize other technologies like we're doing here. I have learned how to do the FaceTime for business meetings. Recently, I've upgraded to be able to do host Zoom meetings. Matter of fact, this coming Tuesday is the third of 3. I had a contract with UTSA Small Business Development Center teaching QuickBooks seminars 4 times a year, but with the launch, teaching QuickBooks seminars for business owners and
okay, okay, never mind. Seminar, not class.
Yeah, seminar. And so
just a one-day class. That's weird.
No, it's 3.
Seminar. Okay.
It's 3 classes, 4 hours a piece.
Yeah, seminar.
And I was doing that in person at the downtown location, but with the COVID, we had to suspend that. So I decided to attempt to do this Zoom class doing the same course, so not live. And work out the bugs, and then maybe reach out to them to see about maybe doing that through the Small Business Development Center again. So this coming Tuesday will be the 3rd. So using different technologies to still get together with people, and then those people that are just adamant about, no, I need to see you. I'm not going to see you in my office building because I've got to control my environment as much as possible. Yeah. But I will meet you in a coffee shop. I will meet you in a restaurant.
Now that makes sense. Let's just say because that is one of the things that I am adamant about for this thing, is that it is an in-person thing. That there's only going to be, from my count on who I have planned, there's only going to be a couple of exceptions because they are way out of state. Way out of state. But so far, I'm driving up to Austin for a couple of shows. I'm going to drive up to Houston for a couple. But yeah, a couple of ones is in New York. Yeah, that's not happening. I ain't that big yet.
And the thing is, for your thing to be a success, is you've got to find someone that can be engaging, and you're not constantly having to lead to be able to talk.
Well, you know what? I haven't had to do that about anybody yet.
But I'll bet you, because maybe many of them have been business owners, and you have to.
There's that.
You have to acquire the skill of being able to carry a conversation, even if the other person isn't really.
Oh, I have that in spades. Come on now.
So
no, I did send out that blanket text message to all those people, to you and everybody else. But I genuinely meant it. Y'all are all individually very interesting people, and the whole point is to, draw out what I see interesting in y'all, and to give the world a better perspective on who we all are as people, and hope, to help y'all out in whatever way, whether it helps, attract future business, whether it helps just building community in general, or just light entertainment, something to listen to on a ride. Just provide somebody with something to listen to.
Well, how's your life changed? I mean, there are other things that I have my hand in, but I've kind of been monopolizing the conversation. Well, not kind of. I have been. So, how has your life changed, and how you approach work pre-COVID to COVID? My COVID work life was very weird. Right before COVID hit, I had one of those moments you talked about earlier, where my feeling of working one more day of insurance was harder to me than taking a chance at something else. So right before COVID hit, months before, I studied and passed my mortgage exam, got my mortgage license. And right as COVID started, I had my 3rd kid, and I was in Arizona for training as airports were being shut down.
So, after finding out, after, being scared about whether or not I'm going to make it home, I go back, try to start my job, and it's just a nightmare. Like, so many things just happen at once. My mental health takes a dive because, we're shut at home, we're constantly closed off. The mortgage world goes crazy because the rates go nuts. No one has time to train. It's sink or swim and freaking in storm waves. Like, I failed out bad. I had all this ambition going in, and yeah. So, after all that, after just that horrible failure, that's mostly my fault. Like, 75% my fault. I was granted an opportunity to go back to do insurance. To go back to the original people that I was working with under a different flagship company that was started by my former leader and still the greatest guy I've ever worked with. Pre-post-COVID didn't really change. We still, work from home or whatever, but this new company, being in this post-COVID world, we're also separated. There's only like one real office, and it's in New Braunfels. And since we're technically, a brand new startup, there's no real reason during COVID, at least, to get any additional real estate, So we're all very disconnected. We have a virtual meeting a week, but it's not like it used to be where we used to have offices that we could go to and, see people and learn off of and talk to, and it just got really, really hard to keep going again. And this was just back in March of this year that I went back. And December, so within 9 months, within 7, 8 months, I went from trying to go back into insurance to, again, just hating it again. I was told things were going to be different. It was going to be, we're all going to be able to contribute more, apply our strengths better, and unfortunately, right now, anyway, it's still just chasing numbers. Who are my top producers? They're going to get everything. They're going to get, a seat at the table. They're going to get to make decisions. They're going to get to do all this stuff because they produce. When, somebody like me who has talents elsewhere is not going to be utilized because not only do I not produce, I flat out said I don't want to. I, sat down with him at the very beginning when I joined back up, and I said, I don't want to be an agent anymore. I want to teach. I want to, unify and get every agent that we bring on a solid start that I never got. Because every agent that ever showed up to help to where I used to work, it was also a sink or swim environment, but it was less so. You had more time. Insurance is a lot easier. There's more of a formula to it. There's less moving parts. If you just keep hammering at it, you can succeed. Well, I'm just not wired that way. And luckily, I'm resourceful. So I figured out a way to train myself throughout all the years of doing it. And when I came back, that's what I wanted to do. And when it became apparent that that's not what was going to happen in this new company, I just had another, is this really what is good for me? And then I started going down aside from this, like I mentioned earlier, mental health kind of took a swan dive more so than it ever did in my life. And it finally forced me to take the deepest look into my psyche that I ever had. Because I was afraid, what if I pass this on to my kids? I found out, 2 out of my 3 things I can't. Third one I gotta keep an eye on. But the one that I never knew I had, the biggest one that kind of gives me all my weird little character quirks and why I just kind of, space out sometimes or randomly jump in or it looks like I have ADHD and all this weird, crap about me. It really makes it hard to stay in tedious, monotonous work, which was why insurance was always hard for me. The only time I ever really was successful in it is when I dove into networking and people and all that. And I really killed it. And so I started really examining things after, all these, tests and medications and counselings and all this other crap. I was like, I'm miserable in insurance. And I'm sitting in here at another point. Another, this is worse than the unknown. I'm like, but what is the unknown? What cliff do I even know to jump off of? I'm like, there's 2 things that I've always known. 2. One, I love personal stories. I love long-winded personal stories that give me a good sense of who a person is. Gives me a sense of, what kind of decisions that they would make in a given situation. It gives me a little bit of history because, I have a hard time remembering things. But, one of the things that I don't forget is how a person feels. And through all these stories, I get to, really get a good feel of somebody. And the second thing that I've always known is that for some reason, people find it really easy to connect to me. To, open up to me, tell me stories, to give me what I want. And I never knew what to do with it, I had this silly dream of I want to get paid to hang out with people. How the hell do you get paid to hang out with people? That's not a job. Yes, it is. It's called podcasting.
It can be successful. I mean, you had a very popular broadcaster, Joe Rogan, who does podcasting. He's understand pretty good money at it. So there is an audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interviews. As long as you have something interesting to say or interesting to bring to the table. And luckily, throughout my life, I've met a lot of interesting people. The very first wave of invites was just the immediate stories, like, the immediate, I want to know this, I want to know this, I want to know this. And that was like 80-something people.
So how many podcasts have you been through now?
You are as far as interviews go, you're number 9.
Okay.
As far as episodes go, you're there's like 13 of them.
So has there been any common thread from all of these people so far up to including me?
The only common thread is me. Is that I know you. The only common thread is that, whether we met through business or whether we met through friendship or whether, for how long or when when we entered each other's lives. That's gonna be different, but no, that's the only common thread.
So I'm self-employed. Or any or all of the other ones before me self-employed?
Some, not all.
What kind of different background do these others? I have hobbies. We haven't even talked about. In mine, I'm self-employed. Love it, by the way. When I go back.
Okay, so far, CPA. I'll have another CPA next week. Edward Robles. I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he's also a father of 8, so we're probably gonna talk about that most of the time. Before you, there was Gretchen Dunlap, who's owner of a wedding venue. Wedding and event venue. There was a professional celebrity impersonator, MJ Trump, who showed up dressed as Donald Trump, and he did Trump impersonations through that entire.
Looks like we all went to New York right
Next, after him was Shane Hicks.
No more Rockettes.
You know Shane?
They're done.
Shane Hicks, big networking guy,
Yeah,
wears a Superman shirt all the time, bald.
You know what? I may have been introduced to him, but the part of the thing is when you meet some of the people, it's hard to correct them all. But when you see him, and it's like, oh
yeah. I'm sure if you saw him, you'd know.
That guy owes me money.
So if
But yeah,
like, let's say these kids really have some wicked.
his specialty is networking, and he runs a charity for military veterans who are being discharged from the military, to help them get back on their feet and all that. The very first guy, a childhood friend of mine, he's a professional bodybuilder and he works at a gun shop.
Wow.
And then 4 bags of frosting and
Yeah, he's
Got the guns.
okay. I told him that I shamelessly use him as part of my sales pitches in insurance.
Adios.
I would say that, like, literally the most physically fit person I know is a type 1 diabetic. So no matter, sometimes it doesn't matter how many reps, it doesn't matter how many hours you spend at the gym. Sometimes genetics just suck.
Flags from the Civil War.
But
So in this
the
case,
insurance
in this box,
business,
they had something that looked like this.
In the insurance business, like,
A paw. Okay, so have you heard of it?
I don't mean to shit all over the insurance business.
that's not where I was going.
Okay.
What I was going was
And when
this:
the cat
the
died,
insurance
he wanted to
business
keep a part of
is
that.
commission. Yeah, you can put on salary, but ultimately you'll be
And
transitioned.
put it on.
That's where to be.
because-
Yeah, commission. That's where you want to be.
because they expect you to perform. Now,
Right, babe?
you're
The
over
cat's
time you get
Tommy
better
Duck's
at it.
claims that's paw.
And so you don't know when you first take that first step into it whether you're going to be successful or not. All you know is it's something that you hope you'll do well on and that you hope to make improvements.
Okay,
Which
so
we're trying to relate to this.
Charlie,
You decided to do a podcast and say, well, I want to meet with people, but you didn't know
And then next
that the
word,
first
all
one would
together,
run smoothly.
party,
And maybe the first one had some warts on it. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
And it's true.
The camcorder cut out.
So I would like to hear those stories of how you've had to adapt. So the first one you're talking about, but what about the others
Okay, cool.
as
How
you've
many
begun
followers do you have?
to lift off and take it in a
Whoa, this is about you, not
There's
me.
105 followers.
All right.
I like to be able to give it whole because
Sure.
over time people look.
If that's what you want, that's what we'll do.
Well, I have more to say, but I think it's better for people to be able to take a podcast and get a perspective to be able to see,
Of
what are
course.
the similarities
Sullivan.
between
I feel like I
how it
know
happened
him.
for me
And
because I will
Margot.
piggyback
Margot.
on your answers to see how it
Well,
went.
for me, I didn't have a list of clients,
Hi.
but I had a network
Hi, Panda.
that I've forged over the past 7 years of all my networking that I've done as an insurance agent.
Okay, here, you guys, call it.
So when I decided that podcasting was going to be a decent idea, a good idea. First of all, I've never heard this much support for it. Like,
tell her.
when I told people I was in insurance, they're like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever.
Yay.
When I started doing this, they were like, wow, this is really good. I'm really liking what you're doing. This is a really great thing that you're doing. So, right off the bat, the feedback was already just miles different. So that kind of,
She knows the cookie spot.
I got that's the first thing that I picked up on, just to keep that in the back of my mind so I don't, quit. But first it was kind of looking at equipment, seeing kind of the standard issues are, seeing what some of the beginner stuff is. There's some stuff that I already had because of the working from home model that I had to adapt for, mortgage and insurance. So I had a decent microphone, I had a decent webcam, but I'm like, okay, of course, I'm gonna need more. I'm gonna need like a camcorder. I'm gonna need some mobile stuff. And for a reason I needed a sound mixer. I was looking at all these different things, all these different classes, and so I started, getting all that. And once I started getting the equipment in, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build out my little studio. We moved. We had our kids' playroom downstairs. We moved all their stuff upstairs. We're rearranging the entire house, and so once I had it decently built out downstairs, just in case I needed to use it, because one of the two rules, if you remember on the podcast, is bring your own drink or a favorite drink, something to sip on while we talk, and then we meet somewhere personal.
Yes.
The office is the last resort, but the office is usable. But once I got it done, I was like, okay, now what?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I was like, because I don't know exactly how to make money off of this other than getting a crap ton of listeners and exposure and all that. I'm like, you know what? I have a lot of friends. I have been blessed in my life with a lot of friends.
She was silly, yeah.
Young, old, self-employed, retired, military, just tons and tons and tons of stories, and all the business owners that I know. I'm like, you know what? There's no way in hell I can't get some people to show up and talk about themselves for an hour. I'm like, that's free advertising. And so I started reaching out to, I reached out to a guy named Don Harmon first.
Elena, this is Carmen. Carmen Elena.
Because at some point when I was dealing with some of the mental health issues, I had a one-on-one with him. He does professional speech coaching. So I promised him that once I got some more things settled on my end, as far as answers go, I would reach out to him. And once I had the idea for this podcast, I did.
Oh my God!
And so we did this, kind of back and forth. We, showed him some ideas and kind of gave him, an idea of what I wanted to do. He showed me, I guess, the possibilities through a couple of mock interviews. One where he was, talkative, and one where I had to drag out from him. Because, he was a radio DJ. He was a professional comedian. He's a professional speech coach. Like, him speaking has always been, so the first one, of course, goes smoothly. We talk a bit. We talk about his years in comedy, because that's one step first. And the second one, I got something from him, but what I drag out from him, like, if I had done it in front of people, would have silenced the room. And we talked about. I finally got him to tell me about the years in a radio.
My sister
he was in Christian radio, and he was a Christian radio DJ the day of 9/11. And he so happened to have a famous priest. I don't remember the priest's name, but the priest went to Hiroshima shortly after it was bombed, and it was just famous for post-tragedy kind of, consecration, I guess. And so, they're just on the air for hours, just trying to console their listeners. And it's just really powerful.
Thank you.
And it's
You're
not
welcome.
the first nor the last story I've heard like that, where I wish more people could hear it, or I wish more people, could experience that,
Well, the reason why I asked you this, one, I'm naturally curious. I mean, what the minimum level to start your business with the
To get her
equipment,
to
the
lose
minimum,
weight?
you
Yeah,
would
well,
probably
that's
have additional bells and whistles.
Oh, she-
But if somebody wanted to start their own
She's
podcast,
a brand of food. There's
round about
several different.
what would it cost minimum?
So the other Yorkie, she
Minimum?
just wanted I separated and put it. But also the reason.
$75?
$75?
She's the easiest, safest way to get a dog to lose weight.
The point I'm making is when I did my,
So let's say you give her.
people imagine
let's
it
say
takes a
you give
lot of
her
money to start a business.
cup of cereal.
It may take a long time to be able to monetize it so that you can provide a living for a family.
Yeah, that's the part. That's the into the unknown part.
Quarter
Yeah,
and quarter,
and it's
and
not
then mix it in the bowl, and at first they're gonna be like,
in terms of how it relates to my business, because I mentioned before mine started by accident. Mine was, what was the cost? I already owned the Sullivan desk and hutch, pencils, paper, a printer, a used computer, eventually. And so I did mine manually, so it was a very low cost.
What was it?
A lot of people come to me and
Oh,
they're
I
like,
like
I'm
it.
afraid because it's going to take all this
Yeah,
money,
I like it.
and it doesn't have to. Now, it certainly can help.
As is, I could have started it right then and there when I had the idea without purchasing any additional anything, but it would not be this great.
No.
The things, the minimum to purchase to have something sounding decent, since podcasts are largely audio, because the recordings, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with.
Yeah.
But the mixer to help out with the sound quality. This one was nice and cheap. It's on $100, and 2 lapel mics, $10 a piece.
My point is this: if you want a business, you don't have to start with a large organization. You
No.
can start humbly and reinvest your money until it becomes. And that's true in your business. It didn't take you much, and for me, it was true for mine. It was just the cost of some blank sheets of paper, some pencils, and of course the institutional knowledge that I developed over time. So when people were telling me they've got to wait for money and things like that, what I wanted to make sure to offer in this podcast is to be able to say, why are you letting that be a barrier to starting a business? So many people. I can tell you a number of stories of people who created multi-million-dollar businesses with just what they had at home, and it wasn't what it wound up to be, but at least they got moving, and that's the important part.
I'm already gonna have a follow-up with my guest from yesterday. He owns his own gaming shop. He started off with $1,500, and now 3 years later, he's buying out the space next to him to expand.
So that's the thing. So hopefully this podcast, hopefully it's to a lot of people, it can give them inspiration that, you know what, yeah, you might want to start full time, but your capital may not be there. So just start, whether you decided to start a greenery, so you're starting it small, or another CPA business. There is work to be had here, or another podcast. I mean, you're starting, and I'm sure you're going to be a great success.
Hopefully.
There are other providers as well, just like there's other CPAs. So, but the thing is to start. If you don't do it today, then you got one less thing to start. And then you know what? I was always worried before I launched. I was always worried that I'd hit an age that I would lose my nerve. And I wouldn't want to do it. And I was like, I gotta do this before I lose my nerve, before I have too many excuses on why. So big ups to you for doing this, but that's a common thing with businesses.
Well, I mean, even when I decided to do this, it still took me a couple of weeks to post the first video, just to get the nerve to.
Honey, I'm gonna take him out.
Just to get the nerve to press record and hit post. It took me two weeks to just.
And there's other things that come from it. You know, when you come from corporate America, they tell you what to do each day. They tell you how to do it.
Yep.
When you start your own business, nobody tells you anything, which you lack the framework to be able to tell what do I need to work on today, what do I need to work on tomorrow, what do I need to work on next week, and who is my audience? Am I catering to mom and pops? Am I catering to corporate America? Who am I marketing to?
Yeah.
And these type of things need to be answered because you can confuse the public. When you're all over the place, it's like, well, oh, okay, I'm your CPA. By the way, I can fix plumbing. You see how that hits wrong. I mean, you could be a great plumber and a great CPA, but when they hire you to do one thing, and then it almost feels like you got that trench coat opening up and see, look, I got watches here too. So to be able to focus on that one, and then the complementary. I love your concept. I mean, this is great. How you monetize it, I don't know, but I know that you get paid to post tons of TikTok videos. And so once you get an audience,
all I know is that people get paid for dumber and worse.
Yeah.
So as long as I just keep doing something, eventually it'll go.
Yeah. And then as far as the growth is the same whether it's podcasting or whether it's operating an account.
And each guest is going to bring their own audience too. I mean, they're definitely going to want to have people listen to something about them.
Yeah. I mean, typically when I'm in being interviewed, it's usually gravitating toward taxes. But I love talking to people to inspire them. Start. Just start. I don't care what it is. Just do something. Don't mark off time and then live with the life of regrets. That I wish.
Who's the client that took that advice the best?
You're talking decades and decades. I'm trying.
First of mine.
I'm going blank.
Start from nothing, now we're here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody, but I don't want to steal thunder and say, well, I came before you. Give me a moment. That's you gotta learn how to price it. You gotta learn the art of the deal. And I'm not trying to quote anyone else on that. What I mean by that is this. When I first started, I would pay $100 an appointment just for the opportunity to talk to someone. But what I thought is when people were doing the telemarketing for me, that all I had to come in and do was just, okay, sign here, let's bring you on. No, it doesn't work that way. It's just barely hanging on by a spider web. There was just a little bit of interest. So I would just murder these appointments because I thought that it was firm and I was just coming in to close it. So you have to learn how to talk to someone, talk with someone, see what is it that they need, what is it they're not getting right now, and how you can fix that. And then the other thing is deals are right then and there. Not let me call you tomorrow and I'll get you back with the price, with the quote. If you can't quote right then and there, then you're going to lose the vast majority of your deals. And so, this is true for all businesses, whether you're in the trades, whether you're in the white collar, whatever you do. You've got to learn how to be able to quote, how to be able to really listen, to see what the opportunity is, and how you can help someone. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes when they're talking to you, it's like that's not what you do. And be honest with them. Look, that's not really an area to focus on, but I know someone who does, and refer that out. And it'll come back to you from that person who might be busy. But it's all part of learning how to run a business. I like telling this story to people, and I've seen people that started a business that have never run one before. It takes them a while to find their footing. I'll go, and they're order takers in the beginning because they run it like what they've seen on TV. Where somebody comes in and what do you want? Mm-hmm. And so no personality, no part of themselves are they giving, and they're wondering why their business is floundering. And then after a while, I'll mention something and say, look, it doesn't work that way. You got to be able to give them a little enthusiasm. Look, you have that breakfast there. That looks delicious, by the way. Mm-hmm. But to have somebody be able to sell the sizzle on that, and this thing that my customers really love, this one above all others, is my best seller. You really need to try it. If you haven't tried anything, try this one thing. And so, to be able to help them to make that change in how they and how they can close, and that's what I was trying also to get the people to hear is, that's part of it. Not just fixing a leaky faucet or someone's tax return, because there's so many people who can do both. And what is it that'll keep them back coming to you? And it's being able to make them feel like they're valued, the valued customer, to be able to give them a great experience. Other question, you mentioned about pre-COVID, what you did. How has COVID affected you on a personal level in terms of you need a release and you're working the business and you need something to be able to give you some sort of work-life balance. So that light part of just, hobbies and things like that. What about you? What's your deal?
Video games. Really, that's about it.
What kind of platforms?
Right now Nintendo mostly, just because the Switch is easy to pick up and just take with you. It's easy to turn off and on. I don't have to just lock myself down anywhere.
Is that something that you've had? Not the Switch, of course, but
gaming?
Gaming for all your life?
Yeah. Ever since I was like 5. My parents gave me a Super Nintendo and that was it.
And is that something that you also introduced to your children, or not yet?
Yeah.
Just telling the girls
they both have. I felt bad at first, but really, it's just the world they're going to grow up in. Might as well, they're going to grow up in a world of screens and whatnot. So they both have tablets. My son has his own little Nintendo Switch. And as much as I hated it at first, they're super smart kids.
One of the things
like he's beating me at games.
I was about to introduce that. Yeah, and it's not where you're giving him a break. It is straight up mauling.
Yes, and it took us. So we were playing Mario Party. Now overall, I still won Mario Party. Of course, it's me. That still wins. But there's this one mini game that is. Do you know Dr. Mario? The pill game where it's or it's like Puyo Puyo or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, or it's like Tetris, only it's 2 blocks that are different colors, or sometimes instead of the whole Tetris thing. Okay, well, there's a mini game in Mario Party where the first one to 100 wins, and so me and my wife, we automatically think that it's between her and I. He's 4, and it's the computer, whatever. And so we're going at it, talking trash to each other, and we're about halfway there, about 57, 56, like neck and neck. Done. Game just stops. And we look at the screen, and our son, 107, just demolished us. And we were obviously just in shock. And and then a couple of days later, playing it again. It was that same mini game came up. I'm like, okay, let me actually pay attention this time and actually try and slam bricks down and everything. And no, 46 to 100. Whooped my ass.
I could tell you this, 4. That's 4. Okay. I had game. I did at one point have game back in the day. Maybe 3rd grade. About 3rd grade for each one of my kids is when it flipped and it wasn't close. And it's so bad that they don't even play me because I'm no threat at all and they need a challenge. Yeah, so, hopefully you'll continue to play and you won't say, I don't want to play you.
Because one of the other things that I'm doing and that I haven't really started yet, because I haven't found the time, because there's one thing that I'm having a hard time doing right now is time management with all this. Because I still haven't gotten the rhythm down yet. But one of the other things that I'm doing is going to have a Twitch channel, which is, live gaming. With my son. So if he kicks my ass live on the stream, that's actually pretty fun. And then, we'll switch to a game that I know I'll be getting.
Yeah. I haven't played this much, but maybe in chess, that's one of my hobbies. There are these 2 sisters, Bote sisters, and they're very popular. And with their channels, I was reading an article not that long ago. Each one is bringing 6 figures from doing that.
Yeah.
And that's chess, which is very popular right now. But there is a market for that. So
there's a market for everything if you charge.
Yeah. That's wonderful. The Royal game was introduced to me early on, and I've remained passionate about it. Okay, so that covers you on your personal level. So gaming is your thing. What is there anything else? That you're into right now aside from gaming? What is your personal time?
Personal time? Shoot. When I get some?
It was up
That's it. Gaming, curling up on the couch with the wife, watching some Netflix, and occasionally going out to the movies. Just
my daughter was just telling me about the price of movies is $12.
Oh my God,
What's the address?
And no early bird specials anymore.
Whatever.
So you do the whole family? There's no longer any drive-ins here, but I know there's one in New Braunfels.
Yeah, there's a really good one in Braunfels. Sometimes it depends on the movie. Like when we went to go see Spider-Man the other day, I only took my son, because my daughter's not going to remember it, and my little one is definitely not going to be anything but detriment. So,
NC22 lucky number.
but he's old enough to enjoy it now. Little Spider-Man shirt on, it's awesome.
Wow. Well, I'm really happy with you with this podcast thing. It's like the calls that I'll get inquiring when starting a business. Same thing is like, I wonder how that works and stuff. It's exciting, but to be able to take that leap like you did is the difference between the two of us. Is one person, in this case me, tossed it around, but you've actually done it, which hats off, man. That's wonderful. That's just grand. Are you on any other platforms? I know that you say you read my stuff on Facebook, so I know you're on Facebook. But what other kind of platforms are you on?
So it's Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. So it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and there's a few others that I have to meet certain minimum metrics before I'm allowed to be on their platforms.
Do you have a mentor for the podcast?
No. I probably should. The funny thing is I hardly listen to podcasts.
122?
Well, you know what? Maybe
them.
that's the same thing. That's the same thing about which we mentioned outside of this thing on another matter, where I said I don't want to read anything else because I'll be inspired to be similar in that. I think I'd rather find my own voice to say something. So I understand that. But I will say that I did look for a mentor when I was starting my business off, so that they can kind of help me. The problem is,
I guess I could count Don just for speaking in general, but as far as like figuring this shit out now.
I think I'd suggest looking, because I've had people call me, even people in my industry who called me to just ask me, well, how do you do it? And I think it's important to give back in your industry, to be a mentor to someone. Doesn't it scare you that you could lose some business? You know, in the beginning, I thought about that, but I was like, you know what? It'll work itself
Well,
out.
I'm definitely looking for one, but you know, I don't really know anybody who does podcasting professionally, or who does, you know, media like this professionally. So once I do,
Yeah.
and they can, you know, help me with, you know, some of the beginner mistakes and all that. But until then,
Well, I know that people do reach out to me, and I give it. I give that. But I always tell you what, my only condition on this is that there'll be somebody calling you one day, and that you
And she doesn't want to rent it.
need to do the same for them. Give them a leg up
absolutely,
to help you. So,
absolutely.
I don't mind doing that. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying that
No, it's just advice. It's just advice. It's good. It's great advice.
you know, even with
And then it would
even
bring
with
you
the
You gotta give back.
yeah, you do. Which is one of the reasons why, and you know what people are worried about, well, it has to be monetary. It doesn't have to be monetary, because,
Yeah, so she's
Uh,
grandfathered.
Eventually, it does.
well, what I mean by giving back is this. Are we done on time?
No, we're good.
Okay, so, is this, I started, I did for 10 years, put on scholastic chess tournaments, unrated, non-rated, for kids in the San Antonio and surrounding areas. Now, did I come up with the idea? No. My wife dragged me into it, but I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
The genesis was my youngest daughter had a friend who was highly rated for her age group nationally. And my daughter wanted to join the club because she made it seem so interesting. And then I was at the school, elementary school my daughter attended, and then with the chess sponsor and that talented player's parents, my wife started talking about, oh, you know, my husband, he's playing chess tournaments here and around the state, he's really good, and he knows how to run them. And I was like, you know, squeezing her hand, like, no, shut up. But you know what? So yeah, I kind of got dragged into it, but it wound up being an area that I could give back to.
Yeah.
And so that started.
Especially to the kids.
Yeah.
When they could, you know, be off doing drugs or worse, playing Magic.
Yeah. So whatever you're doing, whatever you like to do, you can give back and make a difference. And I did that.
They could be playing far worse tabletop games that will be a drain on their parents' wallets for the rest of time.
It's just, you know, a creative outlet. So my tournaments I did for 10 years, and until the school district started requiring paying rent fee and security fee and janitorial fees.
What?
Well, I guess budgets being what they are, but even though the money was for the registration, which bought trophies and whatnot, even though that all went to the school, yeah, they started with that, so I had to give it up.
It's on
But
a huge lot.
coming back, I have agreed to help put on with a tournament coming up in February, Scholastic tournament, and so it doesn't have to be where you put out the money. It could be just lending your talent to something, and that's, you know, that's one of my ways of giving back that way.
1968.
Cool. A lot of different ways. Awesome.
Yeah. And it's neat for me, being a chess lover, to see kids, you know, just the sea of kids on all of these tables with the chessboards and the chess pieces, and they are.
See that passion stall there?
Yeah. And what's funny about that is, in the 10 years that I ran my tournaments, every single tournament, every single one had at least one kid cry because the parents let them believe that they were better at the chess. And so then they got put into a real setting with sharks.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I would always tell them, you know, look, you got people here that
Stop
are
letting your Beat your kids into the
You
ground.
gotta let them have a realistic outlook on where they really are, so they can improve. But yeah, the kid that never lost at home, you know, Mijo's gonna do real well. Well, maybe,
No.
So you can take your passions, and that's the way of giving back. You know, my office has sponsored a softball team before. You know, my logo's in the back. Did it manifest into new business for me? No, but it's neat to have the shirt. You know, shirt with my advertising on it. So there are ways of promoting your business.
Yeah.
Does it come back to you in volunteering, or in what you do? You know, bicycling and things like that. It does. You know, I have picked the business from it, even though I don't like say, hey, at the next stop, you want to talk about taxes?
It's just the nature of San Antonio. People like to, know who they do business with, or they trust their relationships more than they do anything else.
So, the other thing as far as growing your business is that's something that I learned is being able to expand your offerings. And I mean in complementary things. Like for instance, I was only when I started my business, I was exclusively taxes. I only did taxes, and then I got approached about bookkeeping, and that's what I started doing,
Then
bookkeeping,
payroll,
and then consulting, and then instruction, like teaching in QuickBooks seminars, and so that's what happened there. And then you look for people that are complementary to you. Like I refer out to attorneys, they refer back to me.
Yeah.
I refer out to insurance professionals, they refer out to me. Or someone needs a loan, I have people that I know in the banking industry.
Yeah, of course.
And so, like you mentioned about networking, that's another pipeline for me. So, but when people start a business, they don't see it there. I think the easiest way to visualize that is they're only thinking of this sounds like a donut shop where the doors are open and then you smell the one that smells wafting, or the old days with Sears where you walk in and you smell the popcorn going through the vents. The
don't work that way anymore. It does for some places. If you read up on like Cinnabon does that specifically. They have scent models, but other than that, no. Most businesses don't operate that.
Yeah. So now the ways of the past aren't necessarily the.
Your gambles wouldn't have paid off without your groundwork. This would not have any traction at all without mine.
What I like about you is this. You have your own studio in your home, but you also have a mobile setup, and that automatically makes you a dual threat in this industry. It is.
I guess.
I struggled with COVID with trying to talk to potential clients when they wanted to see me. You can be in a coffee shop or a restaurant or wherever you are. And now for me, thanks to the magic of Zoom. I can be able to do that too, where I don't have to physically be at their location. And so technology can be a wonderful thing if you know how to harness it. And even things like the COVID and stuff. One of the things I did with my business is did it scare me? Yeah. Does it still scare me? Yeah. But the other thing I thought about is, okay, if everybody's as scared as I am, where's the opportunity to grow my business here? I got to think about that. Certainly using technology like the Zoom is one, and I definitely do that. But what are the other ways? Just I can figure that out before everybody else does. Then I can monetize it.
Yeah.
And that lets me be more nimble than a Sears or a Target or a Walmart, where it takes them a while to shift their focus.
Yeah, and with me it was just, I think people just miss talking to each other. I think people just miss getting out and talking to people.
I agree.
It's as simple as as far as my thinking went.
Yeah, I agree. It is so important because you wouldn't come up to somebody and say, "Do you need medical care? I'm a doctor." They need to talk. They need to get a little comfortable with you, and this is the way to do it. It might take a couple touches. That networking organization that we belonged to surprised me because that first year I sent referrals but I didn't get any referrals back the first year because it takes people a while in things that deal with money to be able to build that level of comfort to come to you. But then once they have established that, it's gold.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like a haircut. Well, I don't have, I'm not going to a barber anymore doing my own hair, but it's easier to give a chance to a barber because a bad haircut, it's going to grow out and you're done with it. But yeah, well, part of it is to be able to connect with somebody, and that's something learned when you operate a business. You may not get it on the first meeting. You're establishing introductions, and then once the rapport is established, then we move on to real business. And that was foreign for me. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it. Why do we need me the second time? Either you want me or you don't. But it doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way at all. The heavy approach is not the best necessarily.
Well, I hope everybody who listens to this has somewhat of a decent connection to you afterwards.
Yeah. How are we doing on time?
We're gonna have to cut it now. It's been almost 2 hours.
Well, that's great. I mean,
That's awesome. Wow.
Well, I enjoyed it. I
enjoyed it
enjoyed
too. That was great.
trying Olmos Perk. I love the coffee.
Uh-huh.
I took their suggestion.
So this is the first time I've been here for the coffee. Last time it was like I guess it was right before it got bought out, because it was me and a guy named Chris Garza upstairs talking about office space.
Okay.
Sorry, we're talking to the owner off camera. But
But she
yeah,
knows
no,
the
this is the first
coffee.
time. Yeah, this is amazing.
Good. I'm so glad.
What did I have again?
You had a sugar-free vanilla decaf latte.
So as a diabetic, she was able to hook me up, and it was delicious.
Lots of
Not only
options.
like lots of options. Kind of broke it down. What do you like? This, that.
Breakfast all day.
Made me hungry with the steak she told me about.
Well, I enjoyed it, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to
Hey, thank you
chat
for checking the time, man.
and be with you in the beautiful surroundings that we're at, celebrating the holidays together, briefly, but hopefully it won't be the last time.
Hopefully.
So,
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your experience. Is there anything else that you'd like to? Anything else that you'd like to say? I mean, obviously, your website and contact information is going to go on. But
No, just that tax season's starting. It's like a roller coaster for my business, and so once we hit January 1st, then...
Oh yeah, you're not going to see the light of day
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
not
while.
going to see the light of day until about June, the end of June, with the number of deadlines that we have. So I'm enjoying these last few days, trying to get rest as much as I can, because it's going to be it's going to be moving pretty quick. And that's the nature of business. You'll have your busy periods and your slow periods, and we're about to emerge out of our slow period into my heavy season.
Yep.
So,
All hands on deck. Yep. Well, all right. I wish you luck in that.
and I wish
I
you the
do
best
not
of luck.
envy. I do not envy you there.
I wish you the best of luck with your business.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, all right. Thank you very much, everybody who takes the time to listen to this. Y'all have a great holiday season. Christmas is what? Just Saturday? Saturday, I think.
It's coming, yeah.
And I think Hanukkah just passed. I think Hanukkah hit really early this month.
Yeah, I think it might have, because I remember seeing some postings on Facebook.
Yeah. So, once again, thank y'all very much. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. Y'all take care.